Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, drop a chat. Mic check, mic check. We have the new microphone. Hopefully, it's coming in. I got a little red lip to go with my very bold eyebrows. Um, okay, let me see. Anybody in the chat? Dropping ones. Yep. Okay, I see ones. Good afternoon. Hello, Bama Green Eyes. Good afternoon. How are your holidays? My lips are doing strange things. It's the red. Red is not an easy color. Don't let anybody fool you. All right, so it sounds like you guys can see me and hear me. I got a lot of ones. Hello, everybody. How are you? How is it going? Happy Sunday. Woohoo! All right, so, now, can you hear me? Good Lord. Let's see. I'm going to turn the volume up. We have a couple of things to go over about Miss Boone, but let's just check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing, how the holidays have gone. Are you enjoying the weather? Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm like flying by the seat of my pants. So there are some of you who will be glad to know there's a babysitter here today. So I feel like a real YouTuber. I've got my new headset, my microphone. You can't see, well, I have a green screen officially that you can see it when I move my hand. Don't get used to it though. Wait. So we're coming in. Oh no. No, I'm so sorry. I would be heartbroken too. That's no good. I'm so sorry. Grandma Green Eyes. Definitely send them prayers and positive thoughts to you and your family. Whew, that is a rough one. Okay. So I wanted to go over with you guys a couple of things. I kind of want to do crowdsourcing for Sarah's background. I was watching, I think it's FFOP radio. Some of you guys were in the chat with me over there, or I was in the chat with you, whatever. And I think it was Rachel Lee who was like, who raised her? Do you know, like when Sarah's leaving those messages and like and I was thinking about it, like who did raise her? Like what is her backstory? So I did a little bit of walking on Ancestry.com, some newspapers.com, and dug up some stuff. Some of them, I don't know, kind of surprised me. So I wanted to go over some of it with you guys. Like, for example, you know, Sarah's always talking about George was divorced twice. Like, it's a sin and a shame. And maybe it's not the divorce being twice, or maybe it's the divorce and not being married twice. Maybe because if the second one would have made it, she wouldn't be so condescending, I guess, judgmental about it. But both of her parents were married before they married each other, which I thought was interesting. Her mom, the first husband that her mom had, was a lawyer. I think I said doctor before. He was a lawyer, corporate attorney. And then Sarah's dad was a maintenance man. So let me just pull this up and we can start. Let me see. Is Sarah Nordic, like Swedish or Norwegian, maybe Danish? I don't know. Let's go through it. Hymes, Hyames, was her mother's maternal grandmother's side. Let's look at it and we'll see. You guys, I lost my time a few years back. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah H. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if I can share properly. Since I'm masquerading as a YouTuber today. This one's the one. How do I? So this is, you guys can see that line, right? Okay. I even have a second monitor up so I can see what you guys are saying. It's much ado. Um, had this comment. Let's look at this. So I may rearrange these. Like I said, I'm crowdsourcing with you guys because there may be things that you guys call out that I didn't see. So I very much appreciate your opinions and thoughts. So Himes, these are the maternal parents or Sarah's grandparents, and hopefully you guys can see that there. It says Sarah Catherine Fuller, so that is her mother's mother, right? Sarah's mom's name is Karen. Here it doesn't have an H, but at different times throughout it, it appears with an H. You see it over here, and then they put in the quotations that it's Sarah Fuller, Hyams. So you guys tell me, like, is that Nordic? I'm not sure. Then you have Don Edward Himes, and that's her grandfather, her mother's father, who he passed away in 94. His parents were Fred Himes and Velma Himes, and her parents were George Fuller and Lucille Geyser. This is Grandpa. This is draft card. So then here we go into the Paulson Himes family tree. That's Dad again. This is Grandma. This is Mom. Karen Louise Himes Paulson. That's Sarah's mom. And then John Paulson. These two were married June 11th, 72 in Atlanta. However, John previously, in 1970, Sugar Bear is not happy. I don't know if you guys can hear him. I'm going to check this way. Oh, I'm torturing him. Okay. They were married in Pinellas, Florida in 70. So he went back and forth between Atlanta and Florida, which I was always wondering, like, what made them go. Anyway, so he's got a daughter, Cynthia. So Sarah has a half sister that she never mentioned, Cynthia, and he had her with the woman that he married, Sandra S. Shields. Then these are their children, the Paulson children. So you have John Tyler Paulson and Sarah Kay. So these two are the ones that are closer in age. For some reason, I either misheard, misremembered. I thought that Dr. Harper was saying Sarah and her younger brother were 11 months apart. It's these two. And I think he's the one that's in the Nickelodeon episode with her. I have a clip I saw it from another channel. And so I clipped a little bit of it, but I believe there's a John there. So I think it's him, but I'm not sure. So yeah, that's these folks up here. You'll see her mom passed away in 2003. Her dad was in 95, so she was still in high school there. So here's the dad. He was a maintenance man. Born in Yonkers, New York. He moved to Central Florida in 1980. He was Methodist. He was a Navy veteran. He was passed away, survived by his wife. His son, so John T. in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Philip in Orlando. Daughters, Sarah Catherine in Orlando and Cynthia in Clearwater. Sarah never mentions the sister, so I wonder if they just never talked, they never connected. It's interesting. I have a lot of halves, I guess, to be fair, and they're all in my life. I know I don't know, maybe odd, I guess. So, also a sister, he had a sister, Marlene Verno. So that would be Sarah's aunt. I don't know where it is. And then, so this is his prior marriage, John Paulson, 37, Clearwater, and Sandra S. Shields, 28, in Largo. So they had a 10-year difference. There's a big gap between the mom, too, and the dad. And then, I don't know, I just saw these pictures, so I thought it was interesting. This is his first wife, what she looked like. She looked like she was in society, which is what I liked about it. So this is someone is teaching her something at the yacht club. the rear commander that makes me giggle, Fred J. Killian. And yeah. So then there's her mom and the first husband. She married in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in 1963. They did not have any children, and then 10 years later, she married Sarah's dad. So here's her obit. She was born 1942, passed away February 2003 of metastatic cancer. So I don't know where it started, but it metastasized to all of her body, which was a horrific way to die. She was the daughter of Don and Catherine Himes, who's also Sarah Catherine Himes, Sarah Catherine Fuller. You guys did it. And grew up in Aliceville, Alabama, with her older brother Douglas and younger sister Carmen. So the aunt and uncle is there. She graduated from Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri, and continued her education at the University of Alabama, where she graduated with honors. She then married John Paulson, so they skipped over in her obituary, they skipped over that first husband altogether, on June 11th, 1972, in Atlanta, Georgia. In 1981, the family moved to Orlando. So I wonder what brought Paulson to Georgia, right? Because he moved from New York, Yonkers, and then to Florida. Anyway, they were there. They met. So they moved to Orlando, where she and her father established their business, high-tech glass coating. After the death of her father and husband, she attended the nursing program at Valencia Community College to be recertified as a nurse, which she was previously for 17 years before having children. Why didn't she continue the high-tech glass coating business after they passed? I'm guessing it was money. I think her mom is very pretty. She's a nice mom. Seems like the kind of lady. You know, pictures worth 1,000 words. At Valencia, she made the dean's list. So this is where everybody was speculating. Maybe that's why Sarah was going on about her grade point average or straight A student, even though this is community college for her mom, and Sarah didn't go to college, so she's talking about her high school GPA. But for her mom, she had a 4.0 GPA. Whoever wrote this obviously felt that was important to put in her obituary. She also received many other prestigious awards and scholarships. Most of all, she was a humanitarian and loved all animals. So Sarah got it honest. Her legacy will be carried on by her mother, Catherine Himes, 87, of Orlando, Douglas, which is her brother, 66, of Cummings, Georgia, Carmen Clift, which is the sister, of Brentwood, Tennessee, and her 3 children, Tyler, 26, Sarah, 25, and Philip, 23, who currently reside in Orlando. We will forever love and adore you, sweet mother, and you will be greatly missed and never forgotten. You are our lovely hero and mighty soldier. And then, yeah. So then, this is kind of darkish. There was an article with the mom on the women's page. So to me, it just seems like they were, I don't know, is it high society when I want to say? Just part of, they were a part of the community. They were part of the society of like in the paper, their goings on and what's happening. And I liked this little ad. We didn't like the view out our picture window. So we're having an artist paint a new one, right? On the women's page, Modest Maidens. And in there, this is the grandmother. She was in this art colony. So maybe that's where Sarah got her love of art. But like here, Monday will mark the beginning of Monday Painters instead of Sunday Painters at Allison's, and is attracting widespread interest among the Allison art colony, as well as by the amateur and professional artists who plan to spend every Monday at the resort, where there will be a life class at 9 o'clock, intensive work through the day, followed by a criticism immediately following, evening dinner about 7:30. So I'm assuming this is like criticism on feedback on your artwork or whatever. Right? Hopefully, not about you as a human being. Yeah, so, and this is giving like social media, pre-social media. The following members of the colony have already made known their plans to be here. Mrs. L.T. Sharp, and then her grandmother is one of them. So it's kind of like if you want to see them, they're letting you know they're going to be there, which I just think is interesting. So this is the grandmother's obit. She passed away the same year as Sarah's mom. So the grandmother buried her daughter. And then a few months later, she passed away. So she was preceded in death by her husband of 59 years, Don Edward Himes, and two daughters, Leslie Louise Himes and Karen Louise Himes Paulson. Survivors include her son and daughter-in-law, Douglas Edward and Brenda Himes Cummings of Georgia, daughter and son-in-law, Carmen Lucille Himes and Jimmy Clift Brentwood. I think that's Brentwood, Tennessee. Grandchildren, Marie Joyce Himes Warner, good Lord, from the Flowery Branch of Georgia. Hello, Addie. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah. Plaka and her husband. And she had 11 great-grandchildren. So she seems to be kind of the mythical figure, right? Like she was in the society pages back then. She was into art and all of these. So, she was like a lady about town. There's more here. This is when she got engaged to Don Henderson. That was announced in the paper. She was in a sorority. So I just imagined her like this well-heeled, creative person. Like she's, revered, if you will, it seems. Definitely her daughter admired her. She named her own child like her mother's exact name. I rarely see that. I'm not going to say I never see it. I rarely see it, like basically making the daughter a junior. So anyway, Miss Karen Himes, when she got engaged, so that's Sarah's mom, got engaged to Don Henderson. Mr. and Mrs. Don Edward Himes of the Downs in Tuscaloosa, formerly of Aliceville, announced the engagement of their daughter, Karen Louise Himes, to Don Henderson of Reform. He is the son of Mrs. Boyd Henderson and the late Mr. Henderson of Reform. Bride-elect maternal grandparents are the late Mr. and Mrs. George A. Fuller of Topeka, Kansas. Her paternal grandparents, are Mr. and Mrs. Fred Himes of Dighton, Kansas. Miss Himes attended Stevens College, University of Alabama, where she was a member of the Delta sorority. Miss Henderson is the grandson of Mr. and Mrs. Charlie T. Drake and Mr. and Mrs. W.S. Henderson, all of Reform. He attended Ringling School of Art in Sarasota. Has nothing to do with Ringling Brothers, I checked. Presently, he's employed on the staff of the Atlanta Journal in Atlanta, Georgia. The wedding will be on September 14th at the First Methodist Church in Tuscaloosa. So he's a journalist, also a Marine. Both of her spouses were military people. And then it just had his background over here. He was born at about 63. So I think he's 10 years older or something like that. And then here is the mom. She was born in Memphis, Tennessee. So they're all Southern. What year? 1942. Okay. So here, she was in Carlton, Alabama, Tuscaloosa. So she, in 72, when she was 29, she got married. There was another one. This one. In 63, when she was 20, she got married in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Then she got married in Atlanta 10 years later. John died at the age of 62. And then here is his information. The dad. Or it's the granddad. Oh wait, oh my god, I'm mixing myself up. Who the hell is he married to? Okay. I've lost myself. So he was also in the military. At one point, it said he owned an Orange Crush bottling company, but I was like the entire company. So I did research on it. I couldn't find it. I was thinking like maybe they did like retailers. You know how you can be like a franchise and maybe have vending. I don't know. I could not find anything to like corroborate anything about the Orange Crush ownership. And then here we have some pictures from Sarah from school. I found this to Brian, so I threw that in there. He was so cute. So they met at Edgewater High School. And she looks like a normal person there. She got her mugshot. This is Tyler. So this is the older one. This is the one I'm saying I think he was in that video with her. But in 2013, unlawful sexual activity with certain minors, 16 to 17, and then in 2020 he failed to register. There's one more in there. I think it's like 2019 where he was it was like kidnapping or holding a minor. There was like a 15 or 16-year-old that was at his house that the mom was trying to get her back. So there he is. 2011, inappropriate activity with a 16 to 17-year-old. This is the baby brother, Philip. Those were his high school pictures. So that is her kind of, I don't know even how to describe it. Yeah. Just show you guys this because you guys tell me what you think. I think this is her brother. I will put the name of this channel in the description box because I don't remember. Oh wait,
her throwback from Nickelodeon as well.
This was some person on Facebook who was showing that they used to be friends, but she hasn't reached out to her since. This is Sarah and Brian. I don't know if these are the two dogs, but look at what a difference there. Like, I'm assuming she's healthier there. Here. Is that her brother? What do you guys think?
Sarah likes to hang out at the mall. What do you do while you're just hanging at the mall, Sarah?
Check out guys and spend money.
Your cash or like parents' cash?
Mine. Navel orange.
Navel it is. Yeah, there you are.
Sadly, Sarah.
So, yeah, that is her. Who raised her, I guess. I don't know what there doesn't seem to be a lot of activity with the dads. side of the family, and I'm not sure like where they are, but it seems like the mother side was like heavily involved. But they seem to be well-to-do people, right? Like she comes from means, which I would not necessarily ascribe that to her. Watching her in her pink shorts over a water fountain or a water hose, you know. But we were talking earlier because we did a Zoom and remember Zoom, and maybe part of it is wet brain. I mean, at the end of the day, we're never really going to know, but I do wonder if there's an actual mental disorder going on. You know, hey Jessica, welcome. Oh, thank you, Real Talk Bougie. Hello. How do I get this highlighted? I was Thank you. Happy Sunday. I see you out in the bushes. You guys check out Real Talk Bougie. She's got a channel. She goes over lots of juicy tidbits, celebrity stuff and whatnot, but it's always interesting and she always has the receipts. Oh, we got a lot of new. Yana, did you become a member again? I feel like you were before. Sprite, Spirited Voice. Hopefully I got that right. Sticks and Hero Flicks. I love it. Okay. Yeah, so we were talking about like, is there a mental deficiency, right? Because what in your mind makes you risk, like for example, the choice that she made between going to trial or taking that deal, right? All she had to do was take the manslaughter deal and accept responsibility. But in her mind, presumably, I mean, I'm not in her mind, obviously, she is going to show everybody that she's right. Why risk it, knowing that you're admitting that you killed him, but you're saying you were justified? Why take that risk? And then get on there and still go with it was not intentional, but it was self-defense. Like it was always waffly, which is why I feel good about it not being, even if it gets an appeal, like it's still going to end up the same, do you know? Even if it does. Of course, I want to make sure it gets an appeal, or not an appeal. It gets all of the filings that it needs. It just makes me nervous that this appellate attorney is silent and Owens is talking. But I trust that Owens is looking out for Sarah, if nothing else. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like at least if he's filing something, he knows. You know, he's putting in preemptive. Not that it always makes sense, but I will say, he does get things on the record. He does document, you know, even if it's like crazy and doesn't have a citation or whatever else, he does hit those deadlines. So I feel like just in case something is wonky with the appellate lawyer, not that there is, just in case, we know that Owens is like got it covered for her. So that feels good. And then I've been watching a bunch of the Lowell. So there used to be a Lowell reception. They renamed it looks like, in 2003. So now there's just a women's reception, which I understand that's where she's going first, and then she's going to Lowell. But do you guys ever watch Christina Randall? I've watched her for years. She talks about, I don't think she names it as Lowell, but she was in Florida. She just talks about like her first day in the reception center and how overwhelming it is, and like it kind of hits you that you're stuck and there's nothing you can do about it. And so, and she only, I shouldn't say only, but I think she had like 3 years. Sarah's got life. So what does that dawning on her look like? Do you know? And she can't undo it. So that's why I feel like there's got to be some sort of mental deficiency, like for the path that she took to make sense. And maybe it's wet brain, because you know alcohol reduces your inhibitions and whatever else. So maybe like her inhibitions are permanently reduced, or like she's willing to take those risks, because that's how, you know, alcoholics are getting in accidents, and everything else, because they're willing to push it. They're willing to take a chance. They're willing to take that risk. And it's like, she's taking risks. Like she risked her life. She could have been home in like 8 years or whatever else. Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to be around her son, but it's probably better for everybody, you know? So yeah, sane, not sane. She risked trial because I think for her feelings are facts and she feels like she did nothing wrong. Yeah, it has to be, right? It's something like in your mind that's not processing things properly. Because, or my grandma used to say, cut off your nose to spite your face, right? I'm sure you guys have heard that. But like, she could have had the last laugh, take the deal, say that you're sorry, get out, and then you could say whatever and do whatever you want to, right? Like, why are you being a martyr for this where you're going to get the rest of your life? And then you send the judge a note saying, I didn't think you were going to put me in jail for life, or whatever, or that your desire was. Like, he told you that was a possibility. So you can't then be totally surprised, right? It wasn't like you never heard of it. Have I seen the video of the officer caused harm to a lady who told me? I did. I definitely did see that, Elise. I think she won a settlement. Like, it's funny you said that. Well, not funny, but coincidentally, I watched it again last night. It's some different coverage of the same woman, but I think she got like a couple $1 million for it, which it was insane. The whole prison thing is weird to me because I figure, like, I have my childhood best friend. Her mom was actually a prison guard in California, and she got injured. She got attacked by the prisoners. But you have to shift your mentality, right, to be a part of that world, because then you have to start thinking like them, and you kind of become part of them. Because how do you go in that environment every day and come out unscathed and like just go home and be your happy-go-lucky self pre being a correctional officer? Thank you, Tina. I appreciate you. I'm masquerading as a YouTuber today. Yeah, so I like, how do you, it just, I think you have to become a part of it. And then you hear about all these dirty correctional officers, right? So they were talking about they're trafficking people. They set them up, like the women who end up getting probation, like they set them up with someone on the outside, and they were trafficking those women, and the COs were. And it just is seedy, right? But you have to, there's a certain mindset you have to be in there. And then I just feel like you become a part of it. Like even, with the COs writing about Sarah, I take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it's funny to me, but I know they're giving it as good as they're getting it, right? There's no way I feel like the COs are being victimized by Sarah. And she may be attempting to victimize them, but I feel like they're probably tougher than that. And hopefully they have really good health insurance that includes mental health benefits. So yeah, the woman that was crazy. And she said she had cleaned like 7, and like that's a power trip. What do they care? Like why did the men CO care if the female inmates have clean toilets or not? You know what I mean? Like that's just a straight up power struggle. I struggle with it though, because I see some of like the humanitarian docs and they're saying how awful the people are being treated, but it's a punishment. I'm not saying it should be inhumane, but it's not the Ritz-Carlton. Do you know? Like it's not, it's crazy. I do wonder too, like we'll never see the PSI report, but where Dr. Harper was saying how she talked to Phil and there was a alienation between the mom, which probably was additionally like hurtful for Sarah, especially like being named after her grandmother. Arguably, she had some pretty powerful female role models, right? So that's not an excuse for her. It seems like they did well for women of that time. I'm still not clear like why her mom had to abandon the company and go back to nursing, but she had to take care of her kids. Yeah, and why the dad. Yeah, just that part does not make a lot of sense for me. Wait, what's the new lingo? YouTubist? Agreed, Dominique. She can't admit to it. It is mentally, she cannot even comprehend that she might be doing something wrong. It's always someone else's fault. It's like, which is pretty astounding. Like, good Lord. It seems like you'd be lighter in life, though, right? You wouldn't have so much forgiveness in you, the Sarah Boone forgiveness, if you truly were without blame and believed you were without blame. But yeah, it is. Everything it's like everyone is a tool, right? Like how she with the comments with her son, it's really about getting the money or getting information for the dad. or controlling like who he's talking with, who he's not talking with. It's not really about like seeing her child separate and apart from her. So I wonder if in that way she did not feel separate and apart from her parents, or couldn't separate herself. Because in a way, it's like she's still trying to please her mom. Like when she's like, "You don't know who I am. I'm an outstanding student." Like, is that who she wanted her mom to see her as? I just can't imagine at 42 sitting in an interrogation room and being like, "Well, I'm a straight A student. I was a straight A student." Almost 20, 40, 80 years ago. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And the whole thing, so one of you guys was saying that, oh my God, who was this? Came up with the battered spouse. Oh, one in the comments you guys were saying it was Mitt's her lawyer who provided the battered spouse syndrome. But I'm not mad at the battered spouse syndrome because that's how we got all the videos in on rebuttal. And so I think that is what got us over the line for life, which I know there's an argument of like, oh, the legal system is kind of odd of what gets in and what doesn't get in, but that was by her choice. So I don't feel bad that it got in. That was by her wanting to pursue that. And so we just really got to see, I don't know what we got to see, y'all. I feel violated. Like, I do. Because she thinks it's exonerating her while the rest of us are like, oh my God, this woman is evil. So again, it's that like really odd disconnect. But like you see her in 97 and she seems like someone you would hang out with, Yeah. I've been watching, I think it's Danielle Siobhan, some of the clips that she put together, and you can see the flashes of Sarah, like when the police are there, like her gears are turning and she's trying to figure out how to manipulate them. Oh, what about this? What about that? And that's what was happening in the interrogation. But where? And to this day, I feel like if George could, he would forgive her. Do you know? Does anybody else feel like that? Like he would forgive her. He would know like she was drunk and been just her mean old nasty self. But he was like the frog in the water, right? The frog in the pot of water. It starts boiling and you stay in there because it started boiling while you were in there. I want to see if, let's look at the Lowell. Or actually, let's look at Christina Randall because that was a little bit crazy. I've got 2 laptops and a monitor over here on my little desk. So I'm a little bit struggling. But give me 2 shakes here. And we'll see. Christina was very young when she went into addiction, so she was like 20. Sugar Bear was watching Miss Rachel on this profile. I try not to get my algorithm confused when I can. Okay, so where is it? Oh, she talks about getting that. Okay, here we go. That's well, I don't know. Let's see. So Christina is out in Florida, and I've watched her for years. She has these locks. She does not have the locks anymore. I know some people are like she's misappropriating. If you hear her story behind it, like there's an actual legitimate story. But anyway, just saying that.
And it's just bleeding down your ankle. I can feel the blood dripping down my ankle.
Graphic. It's gonna be graphic. Sorry. I should have given y'all a warning.
Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. Prison on your very first day. So when you get sentenced to prison in the county jail, all of these are my experiences. It may be different where you're from, and if anything is different, let me know down in the comment section. I love hearing, what happens in different states and cities and countries and towns and whatever else. But I'm going to be speaking a matter of factly from my experience in Florida, okay? So once I was sentenced, if you've never been to prison before, you start asking people in the county jail, what's going to happen, what to expect, what happens when I get there. Like, you're almost in a panic because you're going to prison. And all that we know about prison is what we see on TV and in the news. And it's already a scary place. There's going to be people there that have really, really, really hurt people. Okay. So you're terrified. I was there about another week, and then I got woke up in the middle of the night. They wake you up. They say, get up, grab your bag, and go. They take you downstairs. You're rubbing your eyes. You're in your orange jumpsuit, still in the county jail at this point. You don't know what's going. Everything is very fast. Move, move, move. Right then and there, they give you the option, because when you go to jail, whatever you are arrested with. Okay, so let's say I get arrested and I have my purse on me, my cell phone, my clothes, my shoes, whatever. They ask you, do you want to take it to prison with you? Which there, it's going to sit in a box if it doesn't get lost. And yes, sometimes people's stuff get lost. Rings that you may have come up missing, your jewelry, your ID, your money that you may have in your purse. Do you really want to take it to prison with you so it can sit for 3 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, depending on how long you have, okay? Or you can sign a release to have somebody come and pick it up. And I signed a release to have my grandmother come and pick up my stuff. So you sign a release, and then they handcuff you and they shackle you. Now, the handcuffs are tight, okay? So they're putting them on your wrist. At this time, you still don't know where you're going, or I didn't. I had never been to prison before. All of this is a new experience. I'm woken up in the middle of the night. I'm signing a release. I know this is it. This is the day I'm going to prison. Your emotions are running high. You're kind of freaking out. You don't know, like, this is happening now. Like, there's no stopping it. There's nothing you can do. It's on and popping, right? It's going down. You're going to prison. So they put your handcuffs on, they put your shackles on, and I'm telling you what, if you have ankles like mine, or legs, I'm very thick on the bottom. My ankles are big. Those shackles, they put them on me and it clicks about 2 times. That's it. Click, click. And they're so tight. Man, they rub against your ankles. My ankles were bleeding and raw by the time that I got there. It was so painful. After they handcuff you, shackle you, they attach a chain around your waist, a big thick chain. It goes around your waist, and that chain around your waist connects to your feet and your hands. So you are completely shackled and chained up, and you are walking like a robot because you can barely move your feet. By this time, the shackles on your ankles are rubbing the skin off, okay? And it's just cutting into you, and you're walking and your wrist hurt because they're not putting them on loose. It's not for comfort, okay? It's to keep you contained. You are a prisoner, a chained animal. You are nothing. Their jobs are to transport you, not to make you comfortable. Now, I don't want to hear nobody down below saying you shouldn't be complaining, da, 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 da. I'm not complaining. I'm just giving you the facts of what happened. I'm letting you know the story, okay? None of it is going to sound like a day camp and sound like I enjoyed myself, because I didn't. What happens is they take you into this warehouse-like room, and in this,
I just want to say too, like, her story is great. If you haven't followed her, she definitely turned her life around. She's got 2 YouTube channels. She's married. She's got kids, healthy living. I've watched her for a long time. She's just one of those, like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get your life together stories that I love, love, love.
this warehouse room are these garage-like door things that shut, but they're huge, and it's enclosed in. It's dark in there, and then there's a bread wagon-like truck. And if you don't know what a bread wagon truck is, that's what we call it. I don't know what the technical term is. It's a truck in the front part, but in the back part, it's just a box. And in the box are seats, okay? Like maybe 4 seats, 4 seats, 4 seats, 4 seats, 4 seats, 4 seats, 2 rows. And they file us in, and we have to climb up in this bread wagon truck while handcuffed and shackled. And the way that you do that is basically rolling on your belly. So you've got all of these women. Some of these women are 60 years old. You know what I'm saying? Some of these women are older ladies, and they have to roll up there. Ain't nobody helping them. There's no nice hand helping you in the back of that bread wagon truck. You have to roll, and then you have to you have to stand up while you're all handcuffed and shackled, and then you clink, 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 wobble over to your seat, okay? The whole time they're telling you, shut up, no talking, don't say anything. There's no talking. There's no, cheering each other on. Like, this is a scary process, okay? So we get into the bread wagon truck, and we're all lined up there, and they close the back of it. They lock it from the back, and it's just us in the back. There's no CO back there because it's hot back there. There's no AC. There's no nothing. The COs are riding in the front. They have this little glass thing where they can see us. But we're all back there in the heat, and they're up in there with the AC, drinking their sodas, nice, good, and comfortable. We're back there sweating our butts off, being transported. I'm in the back of this.
So we know this is when Sarah is going to start complaining. She's going to need some AC, something's going to be a problem for her.
Bread wagon truck, and I'm already starting to feel claustrophobic. I mean, it's hot. I'm realizing that if, your mind starts thinking all these things, like, what if we get into an accident? Think about that. You're on the interstate doing who knows how many miles an hour because you can't see. What if we get in an accident? What if this thing flips? What if this thing flips and catches on fire? You think anybody's going to come and unlock us and let us out so we can run? So literally, you're just sitting in there and you're just praying that you can make it to prison safely. Think about that. Think about the thought of you praying that you can make it to prison safely. That's all you want in that moment. By this time, my experience, I'm riding with a bunch of YOs. Okay, so there's a bunch of kids in there with me. 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. I'm 21.
I'm going to skip this part at the time. Basically, she's saying they're rowdy, the young people. They're still invincible.
Bathroom. It's hot in there. It's loud in there. There's no respect. People are arguing because you've got the old timers that's been to prison before 2 and 3 times that want these kids to shut up. And these kids don't want to shut up. They're like, fight me. Everybody's handcuffed and shackled, and you can't even cover your ears. And you're thinking, this is my life for the next 3 years. That ride alone, anybody that's ever been there will tell you, it sets the tone. The ride alone is awful, awful. I remember being in that bread wagon truck and having to pee so bad that I felt like my bladder was going to explode. Have you ever had to pee so bad that you can't pee on yourself because your whole entire body, your muscles are locked up and tense because you have to go so bad? There were women peeing on themselves. That bread wagon truck smelt in there like every kind of bodily fluid that you can think of, okay? It stunk. And on top of it, like I've said a million times, it's hot. So the heat makes the smell worse. I spent the rest of my ride being in pain and uncomfortable. But when we finally got there, I was so exhausted I could barely move, but I had to move. I couldn't sit down and say, I need to take a break. Can you take these handcuffs and shackles off of me? Let my ankles stop bleeding for a minute. Let me take a pee. Let me pee, get something to eat, and then we'll pick up and I'll do anything you want. No, it don't work like that. As soon as you get there, it's on and popping. They open the back of that bread wagon truck, and there's about 7 or 8 women there. And these are big women. And I'm not talking about the way anybody looks in a bad way. I just want you guys to have an image in your mind. We're talking about 300-400 pound big women. And they're yelling, get out of the truck, get out of the truck. And you're just really just trying to, by this time your ankles are healing a little bit because you've been in the truck not moving, but then they're starting to be cut open again. And now you have these these shackles digging into open wounds and it's just bleeding down your ankle. I can feel the blood dripping down my ankle and I'm just trying to get out. And then you get to the edge of
Deep breaths, deep breaths. Can you imagine? And do they sanitize these cuffs like in between people? You got bodily fluids shared across? Good Lord. Don't do crimes. Don't do crimes.
to the bread wagon and you have to figure out how to jump and not fall on your face because you're completely handcuffed and shackled. You get out of the truck and they're yelling at you, move, move, move. And you're freaking terrified, right? Like, I'll do anything you guys want me to. Just tell me, like, don't yell at me like I'm like you're in complete shock and you're freaking out. You have a few women with you that have been there before, so they're chilling, but me, I haven't. And then you have those YOs that are bucking against them. F you, and they're spitting back in their faces, and you're thinking like, please just shut up so we can make this, an easy process. But you've always in prison, you always got 2 or 3 that are going to make it harder on everybody. Okay. And then the kids keep looking at me saying, yeah, you're going to be in the YO program with us. You're going to be in the YO program with us. And I'm thinking, God, please no, please no. After you finish with the transport.
Okay, I feel like Sarah's going to be one of those troublemakers, especially because she's nothing to lose, right? What is her punishment going to be? Welcome, care for JC YouTube. Welcome. I feel like she's going to just be buck wild. You know what I mean? And like, what does she got to lose? They're going to put her in the hole? I mean, I guess she doesn't like that. But once, I don't know. I just feel like her ability to reason is going to kick her in the butt, or her lack of ability.
You get into the intake center. Really, it's just a bunch of rooms. Now, I want you guys to imagine these prison offices or intake or the dorms are all brick buildings, white brick. Everything is white brick. Very cold, very hospital-like vibe, but prison, it's not a hospital. It's not cozy. It's bricks everywhere. They get you in there and it's time to strip search you. They take your handcuffs and shackles off. They line all you up. Okay, you got 20 women,
Trigger warning,
more, and it's this warehouse looking room, and there's a door on one side and a door on the other side, and the doors are open. The door over on the left side has the door open, and there's light peering in, and I can see the fences. Okay, it's not a private room. There's people walking in and out. They tell you to strip down. Me, I've never done it before. I strip down, and I've got my little clothes on underneath, and they're like, no. Get your clothes, take your clothes off right now. They're cussing. They are this far from your face. They are yelling in your face so bad. They're spitting in your face. Okay. So everybody at this point is standing with our backs against the wall, standing there butt naked. You're looking around. You've got women that are 65 years old, butt naked. You've got younger girls that are butt naked. Everybody's butt naked. They come over, they have their gloves on. They pull your boobs up. They start touching under here. They're digging through your hair. They're in your mouth. They're all around you. And then here comes the bend over and squat. And I've told you before, this is one of the most degrading things I've ever been through. Now, I don't mind bending over and coughing if I had to, but the way they do it there is insane. Okay. You literally, everybody turns around. Our faces are to the wall and we have to spread, bend over and spread them. So you're grabbing your insides and you're spreading them, and you've got multiple women walking around. They're yelling in your face, wider. And you spread wider. And they're like, wider, what the is wrong with you? Wider, wider. And you're like, oh my gosh, I literally remember honestly being in pain. I was spreading my private parts so wide. And then you've got other people walking around and they're looking inside of you. And you're coughing and you're spreading and you're hurting. And it's like, what is going on? Like, this is what, this is my first day. It's insane. When you're done with that part, they walk around, you put your hands out, they put this stuff in your hands, and this is lice stuff. You have to put the lice stuff in your hair, under your armpits, you rub it all around. It's not something that you wash off, and it feels like antibacterial soap or gel. It's like this really nasty, it stinks.
Okay, that is sounded like some third world country stuff. You are like lice? You gotta put gel all over for lice? Where are you coming from? I don't know. It just reminds me of like when people were coming over on boats into Ellis Island and they were, I don't know. That's a lot. Yes, Dominique, they do put the high profile in. Even when she first got into the jail, she was put in solitary because she was high profile. It's in her behavior notes. And so I think I saw the cell too. Was it on Danielle's channel? It's like a glass. I think I saw it too. I'm not sure though. But yeah, it's the lice. Well, Sarah's got short hair. I guess that's one good thing.
So bad. You have to, like I said, put it in your hair, all over your body, your face, your private parts, everything. And then they don't let you wash your hands afterwards. And then they give you your prison blues. You put your prison blues on, and it's time to go on and finish going through intake. The next thing you do is you go into the place to get your photo ID. So you're all standing in a line against the wall. You're exhausted. You've been riding in that truck. You've had somebody yelling in your face, cussing at you, spitting in your face. You know, you're dirty, you're hungry, you're thirsty, you still haven't peed. It's crazy. It's crazy. You're in pain. They put you against this wall.
Oh, it was 92 and not 97. Okay, thank you, Palada. Thanks for that information. I thought she was younger, but everyone kept saying it was 97, and she's born in 77. So, yeah, that makes more sense. Thank you for sharing that.
And you're standing there and you're looking and you see a lady standing at a desk. She has a little computer in front of her and then a little screen against the wall that looks kind of like at the DMV when you go to get your, your driver's license picture, your ID picture, and you have to go there and you stand there. And this takes actually a long time. You stand there, they make you put your hair behind your ears like this.
Welcome.
You can't do like this. You can't smile. You can't even do like this. Your hair has to be behind your ears like this. Mugshot. Cute, huh? And then after they take your picture, they want to know about every tattoo you have on your body, every scar you have on your body. They want to check it. They want to see it. They want to know everything. They put all of that in the computer, all of your tattoos, all of your scars, all of your aliases. If you have any aliases, your prior names, if you've been married, if you've ever been arrested and told them a fake name or used a fake ID, they document all of that. And then they give you a little ID card, and it is your prison ID. And on it is going to have a letter and then your prison number. And on it is the first letter is A if you've only been to prison one time. The next letter is B if this is your second time, C if it's your third time, D if it's your fourth time, and it goes on and on and on. I remember seeing ladies in there with F. So it's going to say F and then your prison number and then your height, your weight, and all of your stats.
What is going on in your life if you are going to prison 8, 9 times? Like, you know what I'm saying? Something is not right, ma'am. Something is not right. The recidivism there's no way. I mean, God forbid I ever go once, but the way she's describing it, and then, here was this. At the end of the day, you said our prisons are Ritz-Carlton in the U.S. compared to a women's prison in Thailand. I'm going to take your word for it. I'm scared. I'm not going to watch Locked Up Abroad. I'm scared.
And you have to carry this card on you everywhere you go. If you are in bed sleeping and you get up and go potty in the middle of the night, you have to put your tag on you to go potty, okay? So they let you know that right then and there. Don't ever be caught without your prison ID. It's very important in there. After you're done with that and everybody is done, everybody moves as a group. Nobody is going one at a time. So even if you're the first person to get through with everything, you're still there all day long. Intake is an all day long process, okay? Then you go into a room where they give you your handbooks. They give you these little white handbooks that have like a staple.
And you notice no sleep has happened. They've had this crazy drive, and then intake is all day. Have they eaten? Have they slept? Oh my God. Maybe part of it is programming too, right? They want you so exhausted that you're just compliant, or they're going to make you compliant. Like, I don't know. I was going to say beat the fight out of you, but not beat it. But you know what I mean? Like wear you down. Like for day one, they're going to get you right. It sounds awful.
It or whatever. And a lot of people end up pulling their staples out, and later when they get to their dorm and they use those staples for different things, but it has staple in it, and that's your handbook. That is your rules, your regulations, all the stuff that's supposed to happen, your rights. Funny. And then you go into a room and you have to sit down and you have to watch a video. You have to watch a video about violence in prison, and it talks about relations in prison, and it talks about your rights. And the video is like 100 years old, and it's very boring and it's so outdated, but you have to do it and you have to get through it. When you're done with this part, everybody's going to shuffle you and move you into laundry. Into laundry, you will walk by, you will tell the laundry worker, which is prison workers, what size you wear, what size shoes you wear, and they give you your extra pair of blues, your clothes, your underwear, your granny panties, your bra, which is the worst bra I've ever had in my life. It's this really thick white strap, and it's like a triangle over you, okay? It goes down like a triangle, and they're the pointy booby bras. You know what I'm talking about? So it's literally a thick strap, a triangle with they're so uncomfortable. You know, your boobs don't fit in it. They're spilling out the sides. The front's all, you know, because who's like, this isn't Madonna, right? Like our boobs aren't, anyways. So you get that, you get your socks, you get your awful shoes, and you get a laundry bag. You put all of your stuff in this white laundry bag, you toss it over your shoulder, and now it's time for the walk. Now it's time for the walk. They open the door and light hits your eyes for the first time in God knows how long. You've been in jail. You haven't been out in the sun. You've been transported at nighttime, so you still haven't seen the sun. And that Florida sun hits your face and your eyes, and it burns. And when they open that door and that light hits your eyes and you can finally see through, you look straight down, and you see nothing but barbed wire fences on this side, barbed wire fences on this side, and barbed wire fences in front of you. And there is a cement sidewalk that you have to walk down. And when you walk down it, you start walking down, on your right side is a gate that has people in it. On your left side has a gate that has people in it. And it's a outside areas, and everybody starts rushing to the gates to see who the fresh meat is. And this is real, true facts, my friends. They're coming up, they're hanging on the fences, they're looking at you. Hey girl, hey girl, you gonna be mine, girl. Yeah, you gonna be mine. Ooh, I can't wait to get that. Dang, fresh meat. They're looking at you, and you're just walking with your bag over you, and you're just like seeing people on both sides, people that look crazy, people that look like you definitely don't want to have to be their girlfriend, okay?
Sarah might be catcalling them on the way in, calling out who's going to be her girlfriend. I wouldn't put it past her.
So you're walking through. Of course, you've got people that are in lines with you that's talking crap back to them. They're arguing through the fences. You haven't even made it to your spot where you can sit down yet, and there's already about to be a fight through the fence. And you're like, whoa, this is my life. You walk through. I made a left, and I went into the dorms that were over on the left. I went in. They told me to find a bed. Found my bed. Put my stuff down. I had to make my bed. And I sat down. And I looked around me, and I'm looking around in this dorm, which is a big, huge white dorm. There's beds everywhere, just beds as far as the eye can see.
So this is the part where Dominique is saying this will be different for Sarah because she is high profile. She's going to go into solitary initially. And then one of you guys, did I start? Said you spent time in there, and if there's I'll find it. Let's keep going. I'll find it and I'll pull it up. Hold up.
And it's so loud in there. People are cutting up. People are, arguing, but people are also laughing. People are looking at you. They're whispering. You're sitting there on display. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to get a private moment. You're just sitting in there. And I literally remember sitting and looking around and thinking, my first time sitting, There's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that I can say. Like, I can't change this. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I don't want this life anymore. Like, but I'm here. There's nothing you can do to get out. Once you're in there, you can cry a million tears. You can cry until you can't breathe, but you're not getting out. You are in prison now. Later on, after I sat there for a while, I looked around. They called for chow, and I got to go to dinner. I didn't eat all day long. I didn't eat all night. Obviously, I was being transported. They don't feed you when you're in intake, or they didn't feed me. I later on went to chow, and that was my first time eating there. And I realized you have to walk in a line. You go to the chow hall. You walk into this other hot room that's a cement room. It has all these tables in it, these round tables that have the chairs attached from the bottom, the round chairs. It's like a stool that's attached to it. You go in, you walk past this. It's a completely brick wall, okay? I know a lot of the times on these television shows, it shows the chow hall looking like a cafeteria where you pick your food. That's not how it really is, not in the prisons that I've been at. It is a complete brick wall, nothing but bricks, but out of it is cut about this far, okay? Is cut an open window, and it's just a flat bar-like thing, and there's trays on it. You just walk by, grab your tray from this brick wall with a slot in it, basically, and you go to your spot and you sit down, and there's guards walking around. They're yelling. It's hot. There's flies all over the place. Flies landing on your food. You're trying to get the flies off your food. They're landing on your nose. They're landing on your face. There's flies all over you, and you're just trying to hurry up and eat while the guards are walking around yelling at you, hurry up, eat, no talking, hurry up, eat, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. 1 minute, go, 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 go. And you're literally walking with your tray to the place to put your tray up, and you're trying to finish the last bits of food while you're blowing the flies off of you. These big old flies too. They're landing all over you, man. Landing on your lips while you're trying to eat. The flies are everywhere. And then you're just hurrying up. You're trying to get out. You're trying to eat in your 3 minutes, and then you go back to your dorm. And then you go back to your dorm, and you sit there, and you don't know what to do. What do I do? When you first get to prison, you don't have any money. So you don't have any money. You can't go to canteen. You don't have anything to do. Your first day of prison, you go through it. You're exhausted. You're tired. You're scared.
So just to clarify, I believe, and some of you wiser people in the chat can correct me, the reason there's no money is because it hasn't been transferred yet. Part of them transferring you in secrecy is to prevent breakouts, and so they keep that all on lockdown. And so she won't, once like it's registered in the system where she's arrived, then I'm thinking the money is transferred there if she had any money on her books coming from the jail, you know what I mean? But it just takes time. So it sounds like at least the first day, maybe first couple of days, you have no access to it, which probably makes you vulnerable because somebody's gonna come along licking on a lollipop like, hey girl, you need something, can I help you out?
You don't have any friends. You don't have anybody to talk to on your first day in prison. It's very awkward. You don't know what bathroom you should use, or, you don't have a pen and paper. You don't know what you're going to do on your period. You don't know when you're going to get money, when you're going to get, transferred, if you're going to get transferred, who you're going to talk to. Your first day of prison, you don't know anything. And it's scary. All right, guys. I hope that you like this video, me explaining to you guys what the first day of prison is like. If you guys have any requests for any other videos, please leave them in the comment section down below. I always feel so heavy talking about that.
And this was so many years later, and she's still, and this was so many years later, and she still remembers it so vividly, right? And the cat calling and I'm traumatized just from listening to what she went through. After we're done, I'll post it in the description box a link to Christina's channel. Like I said, I love her. I've watched her for a long, long time. She does a lot of true crime stories, but she started off telling stories of her life outside of prison. And she like came out. She didn't have any family. She came out and went to like a halfway house. She talks about working at a fast food place and doing whatever, and then she went to work for the Publix corporation and just building her life back up, you know, and having that moment. So in that regard, I think prisons are good. Like, I feel like she's the model ex-prisoner, right? Like, that's what we all hope for, that people are rehabilitated and become contributing members of society. But I feel like for Sarah, what was she going to contribute? She wasn't contributing before, right? Like with Christina, she was young. She was 21 when it happened, and she had not a great background. Not that it's an excuse, because I know a lot of us are like, I have this, I didn't have this, and I didn't go and kill anybody. She was in, I think it was like Grand Theft Auto or something. There was a couple of things, but she fucked around and found out, basically, because she had been given chances prior to whatever her offense was. But anyway, I'll link her for the replay crew. This is members only as we're recording it, but I probably will post it to everybody else so they can watch it. But yeah, it is. What would Sarah be coming out to if she ever came out? Like, who would she be staying with when she came out? What kind of job? She had never had a job before. Let's just say, like, if he had given her the minimum, the 22.5, right? The minimum without a downward departure. So she's 47, 57, 67. She'd be 69 and a half, 70 coming out. I don't think she's worked long enough to have a significant, like, pay into Social Security, right? So she's not like she could, not that anybody could live off of Social Security, but it's not like she could even pretend, right? Well, at least in New York City, you can't live off Social Security. Not in Manhattan. You have to have a job or some type of savings or something, or like a subsidized apartment, or you own your apartment outright and you don't have that bill. You know what I mean? But what would she be doing? Just sitting around drinking, wreaking havoc? What's redeemable about her? And I don't say that lightly, because I feel like as humans, a lot of us are redeemable. But we have to want to be redeemed, right? We have to recognize that there's something about us that needs to be redeemed. And I just don't think she can do that. The fact that she just sat there with all of her forgiveness and felt that was okay. And then to send that letter to Judge Cranick. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is going on in your brain, ma'am? That was, and then, I was going to say that too. So the other thing is, she's got this whole, in her letter, she wrote about the Crucible and the Scarlet Letter, right? Which are both, they're both stories of like guilt. And I'm just going to like read some of this, because I know some of you may know about these plays. Some of you may not. I feel like I was a theater major in high school. Like, I went to performing arts high school, and you can pick. So I may know because of that. I'm not sure, but I feel like even in regular English lit, like Arthur Miller is on the list. Anyway, so Arthur Miller, Nathaniel Hawthorne. Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible. Hawthorne wrote The Scarlet Letter. They're 100 years apart. The Crucible is based loosely on McCarthyism, and the guy, who's the attorney? Cohen is his last name. He was Trump's lawyer I can't remember his first name, but anyway, he was working with McCarthy on figuring out who was, what do they call them? Commies, I think is what they said, which is a derogatory term. And they were like blacklisting people in Hollywood, so that it's based on that, but it's set in a different time. Right, but there's people being like persecuted, falsely accused. So she writes about that, and then so in The Crucible, John Proctor, who's the protagonist, committed adultery, and he's tormented by his sin, right? And we also in the Scarlet Letter, there's adultery. That's what the Scarlet Letter is. It's an A for adultery. So it's interesting that Sarah kind of has that component in it when she's like comparing in her letter to Judge Cranick about the Scarlet Letter and about the Crucible, that she feels so persecuted, right? She's obviously done wrong to George and to his family. Like those, no wonder she thought they wanted to kill her. Like all of those nasty messages she had been sending, right? And they were recent nasty messages. It wasn't like, I don't know, she had a lapse and like had a good run for 6 months, you know? So John Proctor committed adultery. He is tormented by his sin. Eventually, he confesses that he had an affair. And then he speaks with the devil in order to save his wife, Elizabeth. In the Scarlet Letter, you have Hester Prynne, Arthur Dimmesdale. They're having an affair. A judge convicts only Hester of the crime. So I was thinking maybe there's parallels with like the gender roles that maybe she's going on. Like as far as it's just, throughout time, the women are the ones who wear the Scarlet Letter. The women are the ones who are persecuted, even though the men and the women are doing wrong. Just like the same with like sex workers. It's the sex workers who get arrested and not the men who are patronizing them. Do you know? And so was there that dynamic? Does that make sense, or am I reaching? Because that was why I was like, why did she specifically pick those? Other than they're like, we read them in the 10th grade. What is she like in her mind? What does it look like when the world is doing right by her? So she feels wronged by so many people. Like, are we all here to serve her? It just, I don't. And oh, I still have Christina to say something. I'm not Christina right now. Yeah. Sarah is arguing about something as we speak. Yeah, seriously. Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. She would have gotten out in less than 8 years or something, 85. But only if she behaved, Addie. Do you think she would have behaved? Like, I was just thinking of the time of, like, not behaving. Oh, and then the time served, right? She's got, could be 58 months, almost 5 years there. Okay, so she would have been out in 8. So even, she wouldn't have even been 57. Then she'd be 56. She'd be 3 years older than I am now. So she would still have had, oh no. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, oh my God. Why did she pass that up? Like, just to be vindicated? Which is a warped way to think of it, because even, like, she already admitted that she had killed him. So it's at least manslaughter. Why not take that? Do you know what I mean? Even though with the second degree, you don't have to prove intent. And she kept saying not intentional, right? It doesn't matter. It's the depraved heart, depraved indifference that showing up at his front door expecting him to take her. Who, her brother? Who she didn't even want to like go over. So also he's unemployed according to his LinkedIn. He's open for work. He had been working like I guess it's career. He had a military career, but it looks like he's stopped doing that and is doing security or is looking for security work. She should be prepared all this time, but he thought she was going free, so she was not prepared. I don't know. Michael, thank you, Nicholas. Oh my God. No, not Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen was the newer attorney who is now turned against him. It was, oh my God, who is Trump's guy? Trump attorney McCarthy. He died of AIDS. Roy Cohn. Cohn. I'm really saying. But that was what the Crucible was based on. Thank you, Miss Lily Bella. I like your icon picture. I love that. Is it a blouse? A floral blouse? Looks pretty. Manipulators find people to manipulate. It is weird to us, but people are going to listen to her and believe her. It is weird to us, Addie, and it's kind of hard to comprehend. But I guess all of us at some point have been duped by somebody, or to think of it as like less nefarious. We've been under the spell. We've been induced or seduced, as it were, depending on what's happening. So I don't fault people for falling for it. I don't know. We all have free will, right? And so, but predators find their prey. And so definitely something I learned in therapy, right? If I'm having all of these same relationships, I'm the common denominator. What am I doing to attract that to me? And how do I change it? So most people who run across who like fall for Sarah, it's not the first Sarah they've fallen for. And they may be okay with it. There are like, I don't know, codependent people who don't want to change. I know a lot of people who I would think they would want therapy. They're fine how they are. Do you know? As long as they're not unaliving people, I guess it's okay. In her world, George was a terrible abuser, and we should all support her right to put him in a suitcase and walk away. Yes. Which is just bonkers to me. Like, even, which I don't think happened, if he beat you every day, there are other things to do besides. Because it's the manner of the death. It's not just that he died. It's like the cruelty. That's the thing. That's like, it's next level. To take a risk and make a point. But I think that's the wet brain. Like what risk looks like to us is very different. Also, when people have nothing to lose, I feel like they're more dangerous, right? Like if you're at work, corporate or otherwise, if you know the top boss who's got like maybe 2 mortgages, a yacht payment, and whatever else, like he has more to lose. There's more fight in him than say like the person who delivers the mail, who it's like their 6th job in 2 years. They don't have a lot to lose, right? And so they can be a little more reckless at the job. Like maybe they post something crazy on social media because what do they have to lose? Whereas like if you have stuff on the line, your life is a little more sacred. Your choices are a little less risky. Yeah. I think Sarah somewhat enjoys being incarcerated. Ooh, Veronica. Do you? Why? No bills, doesn't have to parent even though she didn't take care of her kid, and more victims to easily manipulate and use. That's a fair point. And she wasn't working on the outside. She's not working on the inside. People are still giving her things. I mean, she does some cleanup, but we see that's for her own good in the notes, right? She's stealing cheese and latex gloves. If those videos didn't exist, this would have been a totally different experience. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If those videos weren't entered into evidence, this would have been a totally different experience. So if that is something Mentor Lawyer is the one who suggested to her, as one of you guys said, I think that's crazy. But obviously, he didn't go through those records, right? Never mind the video, but, because I can understand why he wouldn't have necessarily researched that. But if he would have read through the police reports, you can tell, with the exception of one event, the police were like not fully buying Sarah's story, right? And so knowing that that's the case, I think if he's going to counsel her on what to do with her defense, he should see all the evidence. But then it's like, well, should Owens have seen it because he's the one who did it? Or was it like someone else? Because he still is saying she was obviously abused. Like he's still standing out there on the courthouse steps afterwards after he hurriedly put on his lovely green quilted jacket, which I've got to figure out if it's like L.L. Bean or Lands End because I want that jacket. Anyway, why didn't he look at those videos where she's obviously like torturing him? And the hostage video where he's like saying how she's a good person and she's like, say I'm an angel. And even he was like, well, no one's an angel. In Sarah's mind, I can kind of see, okay, she's confused. That makes her look good. But how did anyone on the legal team think that made her look good? Do you know? I mean, I think originally the plan was let's show Julie Harper these because these are evidence of her abuse because they're trying to get to the battered spouse syndrome defense, right? They're trying to convince Julie Harper of that because Julie had seen Sarah since 2020. That was the first time she saw her, October of 2020, and then again October of 2021. And she hadn't necessarily come to that conclusion. So let's show her all of these things where this dude's being arrested, so you can see that she's abused, but without looking at what was Julie Harper thinking? She looked at the videos and was like, oh yeah, that's that woman with that hostage video, her convincing him that is abuse. Do you know? Like, how did Julie Harper not see that George was the one abused? Us lay people saw it. Like, she's probably adopted. Oh wait, I gotta see what Brock said. Oh, easily manipulated. Yes. Betty Broderick. Oh, it's funny. I was watching a clip of her. Christina did a video. Christina ran up my TV's back here. Of Betty Broderick. It's yeah. At the end of the day, this is what it feels like. She was jealous. If we go back, I have half a mind to do it and then half a mind to walk away. But like, put it in chronological order of like her text messages, the arrest and the police intervention, and how she's responding. Her jealousy is like making her behave this way because she's trying to get him under control, right? And the whole thing with like the birth certificate and I'm gonna like look what you made me do. It's all about that like control and whoever he's, Belinda, Jaleesa, Rana, Kashana, whoever he's like messaging with. But how serious can the messaging be? It's on a device that she has access to, right? I'm not advocating cheating, but do you deserve to die for that? And then you're like harassing his mom, and it's just a lot. So I think all of that is going on. He's getting fed up. Like, he has a diazepam. He's trying to get better. He's like trying to, and Melissa even says that, oh, she talked about George getting sober and then that went away or whatever. But Melissa only has like the bits and pieces that Sarah tells her, just like Brian only has, like, Brian thought that George didn't work and, he doesn't know how much the apartment was, yada, yada. But Sarah's never been self-sufficient. So she went from her parents' house to the marital home with Brian to an apartment, as she says, a townhouse with George. So do we expect that, well, now you're saying not at 70, but at 56, that she would come out and suddenly be responsible? Like, have a job? I don't know. I said a Walmart greeter. Some of you guys said you're not allowed to be a greeter if you're a felon. Ex-felon. I don't know how that works. But yeah, so he was getting better, getting his life together, put his things in the suitcase upstairs. She gets mad. She picks up the bat. She starts hitting him with the bat. Because he's got those lumps and bumps on his head. Had to, in my layperson's opinion, had to happen outside of the suitcase. Like, how, if he's sideways, right, in the suitcase, like, how are you hitting his eye through the suitcase with the bat? And his hands, the back of his hands had wounds on them from where she was hitting him with the bat. Like, so she's controlling him at some point with the bat. I know she's like poking on the stand, but at some point she's controlling him. I don't think he got in there willingly. The neighbor said up until like starting at 7:30 they started arguing. So why would you be arguing from 7:30 and then they said a little bit after 11 it went silent? Why would you be arguing all those hours and then willingly get into a suitcase? I think he was trying to get his shit. He's tired of all the arguing. I'm ready to go. I'm over it. Yeah. And so, because he calls the brother, then she's saying, oh, I got to call my brother. There's no evidence that she called her brother afterwards. And I'm assuming it's the younger brother, because at that time, the older brother was in jail. He had gotten arrested at the end of 2019, right? And so it starts with that, and then she's telling the brother, oh, he pulled me down the stairs, or whatever she was saying to him. And it just kept getting worse. And that was like, I think that was around 7:30 again. I'd have to do the timeline, lay it all up. But I think that was around 7:30. And the brother said he wasn't drunk. He had been drinking, but he wasn't drunk. Even in the video where he's begging for his life, she sounds shit-faced. He doesn't, like, relative to comparing his other videos where there's some where he's, like, you can tell he's drunk. Comparatively, that one, when he's begging for his life, he sounds, like, coherent and frightened. And I imagine fighting for your life would be very sobering, irrespective, because I know he had like a 0.138 alcohol blood level, but I imagine like realizing you're in real danger is quite sobering. And the doctor was saying like once he died, it didn't continue to dissipate. Because I was watching someone, I think, off the cuff, and he was like, "Oh, for it to still be that high," the doctor was like, "It's like frozen in time at that point. Your body is not metabolizing it any longer." So it was 0.138 at the time of his death, and it was 1.38 when they tested him. This is how I understood that expert to say. There was someone, you said you worked in a prison. I'm gonna put do you want to come up for a second? You don't have to put your camera on if you're interested. I'm gonna drop this in the, because I think we have questions if you're willing to answer. Just hearing about, you said you worked in a reception area. I thought I highlighted it somewhere. There's a lot going on over here. Here. Care for JC. Used to work in a reception center. The women are not as wild as men. Usually the child abusers get the extra meanness. It is a long intake. Ours includes a quick medical aid mental health interview. I'm curious about that. Like if you don't mind coming up, I'll pull you up and we can talk. But a quick mental health. I wonder if there's any follow up. I feel like there's a lot of people who need mental health support, whether they're in prison or not. And then it's like, how do we support them in doing that, or how do we facilitate that happening for them? The sun is going down. I have these other lights on, but my light may shift because I'm sitting in front of my bedroom terrace in the corner. And I did have the sun coming in on me, but it's gone. It's going down. But yeah, like how, because I know it's weird. Some people don't believe in it, and I know it's not like a hard science, so I get that. But it's like, how do you encourage them to get mental health support while they're in there? It's things are not great. There you are. Bring you up. Okay. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I don't work in Florida. I've retired now, but I worked in California in the women's prison, one of the women's prisons in California.
Where in
And
California?
some of what she says is Southern California, Corona, California, which is near Chino.
Okay. And you said, so I cut you off. Sorry. Some of what she said was what?
Some of what she said was true, but in California, you don't have a catwalk kind of thing going on because the reception center is only for people who just entered the prison system. So it's not quite what she said. When you're coming in for your interview, it's just the people coming off the bus, and you're only seeing other people coming off the bus.
Okay. How do they get introduced to the other people in reception, and how long? Is it like a couple of months in reception? Like, what does that look like?
So reception center, you get that whole interview, the pictures, they ask you your names, your aliases, and all that other stuff. And then you get seen by a doctor just to make sure that you're medically okay. And there's all these questionnaires that they take right when you come into the reception center. Then after you get your clothes and stuff, and the clothes are worthless, by the way. But in California, you're in orange until you are assigned to a prison. So the reception center process takes about 2 to 3 months.
Okay. Yeah, so I think like when Christina went in Florida, there was a Lowell reception center, and then I guess it was like a feeder to that actual prison. But it sounds like the majority of the women, that's the main. There's two reception centers, at least from what I've read on the web. Give it, for whatever that's worth. And they go there for a couple of months, and at least on the website, it says they're identifying like your characteristics of like where you would be a good fit. I don't know how that works. Of like, do you put your like I don't know your pillow on the left side so you're a candidate? It sounds a little hocus pocusy to me, but maybe is it like personality type or what are they looking for in the reception time?
Yeah. So within 14 days you get a mental health interview, and then depending on how it answers the questions, then you'll get a deeper interview. And so they check everything when you come in, and then they look for your gain affiliations or any other things. And then they decide at the time when I worked there were 3 female prisons. They determine which prison you'd be a fit at.
Based on like personality, based on age, skill set, like how do you know where you're a good fit for prison?
Well, that one was done by custody. I was actually a mental health employee.
Oh,
But
okay.
I worked in the reception center a long time.
Okay. I'm gonna fix that. And then I guess are there people who get assigned counselors or like their mental health is tracked in any way? Do you know?
In California, yes, you're assigned to a particular counselor and they follow you while you're in the reception center. But then wherever you go from there, you get a different one.
Oh, okay. Let me just see if anyone has any questions. Please put a question mark on there in the. So fascinating. Like, I wonder why they let them do the catwalk. If that just seems super degrading. But what do I know? I'm assuming they don't put lifers with those who will only be there like 5 years. I hope not. Although I did watch one of the male 23 and 1 lockdown 23 and 1 where that I think I shared that on one of them where they put him in with a lifer. He had 2 years left. And what is the longest someone has stayed in a reception center? What have you seen?
Usually 90 days is the most, but if they're overburdened, occasionally go more than 3 months.
Oh, okay. And then I'm assuming they don't know when they're leaving or where they're going. It's another like late night bus ride, or how does that work?
Yeah. Inmates never know when they're going out or what time they're going out so that other people can't track them down while they're in transit.
Okay, that makes sense. So she could be, if it's similar to California, she could be there for 90 days. I remember I hadn't heard of this until when Charlie Adelson went to the reception center before going off to his forever home, which he ended up being, moved out of Florida because he was in danger. But so she's going to go. They're going to do some sort of mental health evaluation. Do they offer for people to go into like AA? I noticed in her behavior stuff, she hasn't taken like any classes. Are there classes in reception or you have to wait till you get to like your forever home?
In California, they have AA at all levels of
Okay.
So even if you're in administrative segregation, there are chances to do like AA or those type of classes.
Huh, okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious as to why she hasn't exercise. But Kelly, the sequel, my prison experience was similar with the distinction that in Maryland we had 2-person cells versus dorms. None of it was pleasant. Glad it was a one-time thing for me. I'm glad it was a one-time thing for you too, Kelly. Hello, Woman of Steel. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions for our guest? I don't want to keep her on here too long. Thank you for coming up to answer our questions. And then if you guys have anything else, you can message her in the chat, care for JC. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming up. All right. So yeah, that's interesting. I would be scared shitless. My anxiety would be too bad to be like waiting around to go somewhere and then not knowing where I'm going and what's happening and woken up in the middle of the night and yelled at. But that's why I don't do crimes. That is why I don't do crimes. Although I do feel in some sort of parallel universe, I can see these same set of circumstances in a different era, Sarah getting away with it, right? I think that was causing me a lot of anxiety on this because she had always been talking herself out of things. And probably if she didn't have that snuff film on her phone, she probably would have gotten away with it. We probably would not have known the depravity. And I think it's horrible, obviously, for the Torres family, but I hope that maybe someone else who's in a similar situation sees those circumstances and understands the danger of it, especially because she had a history of strangling. Someone dropped me a stat. I don't know. I didn't verify it, but like there's a X percentage chance of strangulation leading to murder, meaning like if you've strangled your significant other in the past, you're more likely to murder them than if you just bop them in the eye in the world of intimate partner violence. And so there was already a tendency. I had never heard of that before. Luckily, I was not. Well, I've had hands around my throat before. Let me just say it like that. I'm not gonna say I was like strangled to the point of not, but I had petechial hemorrhaging, right? So maybe, but I didn't realize that was a precursor. So maybe someone hears that, so it's not like George didn't die in vain. Maybe there are other people who are out there going through these things and seeing these things. Because the hard part is, especially if you don't seek therapy, you don't know that you're being gaslit. And Sarah is a gaslighter of all gaslighters, right? So what was George going through? Because when I see them together, it seems like he really did care about her, where I don't see that for her. It's like she needed someone to be better than, and he served that purpose on many levels for her. Even though on paper they're about the same. I mean, he had a shift manager job. I don't know that she kept a job before that, but like neither one of them finished university. I don't even think she started. I think she told Dr. Harper or Dr. Warner that she was like, didn't do it because her dad died. But now we're looking at it. He died when she was 20. Like, girl, what were you doing from 18 and 19? And oops. You know what I'm saying? Like, she put an effort to be mediocre. That was her. I don't know. It wasn't like she got out of school and was like, I'm going to go to university. I'm going to do, and I didn't either. I didn't do it until later in life. I didn't finish university till I was 31, but I did go back. What was she doing? That's what I'm like, even so she got out at 50 something. What would she be looking for somebody to mooch off of? Hell, at that point, she might even be eligible, I guess. No, she wouldn't be because the alimony would expire next year in 2025. Hell, next week, really. But it would have expired in 20. And someone said, was I checking the family court? I have been. There's not been anything posted. So I'm not sure. So the last status of it was the judge said he wasn't going to do anything. I haven't found any evidence of there being an escrow account. I know a lot of people have. Just because I haven't found it doesn't mean it's not there. I'm just not vouching for it, so people are not like, oh, I heard it on Tanika's 2 cents. No, you did, because I didn't know nothing about it. But so the judge said until the criminal case is decided, he was not going to rule on that. Sarah had filed for a contempt of court, and oh, that's the wind. Hopefully you guys can't hear that with the new mic on. Like I said, I'm sitting in front of the window, the glass window door combo. So yeah, she filed for contempt. His attorney, Brian's attorney, filed back and said there cannot be a contempt motion heard until you have decided on the modification request, because Brian had requested a modification of either zero alimony or modified down for less, right? And so that had not been heard. The judge said he was not going to hear it until, well, he said if she wanted to bring it, let me just quote it correctly. If she wanted to bring it, it would be heard, but it would be factored in that she was incarcerated. That would be part of it. Or she could wait until the settlement of and he preferred, the judge said, to wait. Right? And so Sarah didn't file anything else after that. His attorney, Brian's attorney, said, you cannot hear this contempt until you hear the modification. And so it was kind of like a stalemate, right? So I'm not sure if now Brian's attorney can go back and say, this matter has now been settled, we would like you to hear that, or Sarah can initiate that. Sarah filed some bogus thing like asking for discovery as if it was a brand new case, even though her divorce filing happened in November of 2017. But we know it's the same bag she ran with. I haven't seen my discovery. So she's doing that over. So we'll see. I have access to it. I have been checking it. I'm really praying for them being free of her, like not having the son be mandated to see her. Like let it be his choice, and hopefully he chooses not. Can you imagine her as a mother-in-law? He's gonna dodge a bullet. Like his wife is dodging a bullet, or his husband, whoever. Listen, love is love. Is gonna be dodging a bullet because her as a grandma, my worst nightmare. That would be my worst nightmare. Sarah Boone is like someone's grandma, like coming over, giving the wife advice. Yeah, yeah. Also, I feel like she's been in conversation with, this is a tangent, with Owens, because she said things about like the judicial errors in her letter, which we didn't hear those errors until Owens' filing of it. So they definitely had a conversation about that. I'm not sure about what case law she's referring. I watched SKR, and he was saying like I can't remember now, maybe about the case law about forfeiting. I can't figure out what case law yet specifically she's talking about, because it case law if it hasn't even gone on an appeal. Like it was just like before when Judge Cranick was saying, because Owens kept referencing the woman Marsha Thompson who killed, and Judge Cranick, hi Judge Cranick, he's over here, thanks for letting us hang out in your break room. I am not a mental health professional at any California prison. I keep forgetting to take this down. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think as far as what she's saying for her case law is? My understanding from what Cranick was saying was like it has to have had become case law on appeal. Like nothing that's in the lower courts is setting like new case law because it hasn't withstood review by an appellate, by the 3 judges. Is it 3 judges in Florida? Anybody know for their appellate? Yes, Roy Cohn. You're a little further behind us. There's a direct link between poverty and crime. Sarah is extreme. I'm pretty tough on prisoners. Am I? There is a direct link between poverty and crime, 12 from 121. I've said it a lot. I actually catch a lot of flack about it because there's also, I mean, it's socioeconomic, but I mean, the systems were set up as an answer to slavery, right? That's the 13th Amendment. Under that condition, that's the only condition that you can enslave someone in the United States and it's legal. So given with the history of slavery and what all that entails, I'm very aware of where our criminal justice system lies with like poverty and disadvantage. Yeah, my oldest brother is doing 2 life sentences on a RICO Act in federal prison in California. So, yeah. it's complicated. I understand that it's complicated, but also I understand, like, as we age, hopefully we get to make different decisions. We get to make different choices. I could have been a poster child for being a criminal, right? I was born of a teenage mother. Um, my mom had lost her mom a few years before she became pregnant. Like, her mom, my grandmother died. My mom was 14. My mom was pregnant with me by the age of 17, pregnant by a married man who was 26. Quite illegal to be having relations with a teenager. And yeah, anything could have happened to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and who would have blamed me? Um, but at some point, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. My mom took responsibility for herself, took responsibility for me, taught me to take responsibility for myself. So I understand there are privileges wrapped in that. Like, everyone doesn't have the same access to education. Education was very important in my household, in my mom's household growing up, like speaking English properly and all that. So I feel like, yes, I'm hard, but also I recognize like what it is, and I feel if you approach it that way, like understand what your playing field is, and then enter the game that way, you have a better chance. But sometimes you don't get to do that, right? Because you're just worried about you're on the low part of Maslow's hierarchy of need. You don't even know if you're going to eat tomorrow. So I don't mean to disparage anybody who is a prisoner. There's other ways, and life is short. If you can spend your life in another way outside of prison, why not? I don't think anybody gives birth to someone and says, "Oh God, I hope they grow up to be a prisoner." They might. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome. Remember, the appeal court may elect to not take any of her appeals. The right to appeal is different from being granted an appeal here. Very true. Very true. Is it Zoe or Zoe? I like the little puppy or the dog in your picture. So adorable. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know. In my mind, there's going to be something that gets to the appellate court. I don't think it'll move beyond. I do feel like the appellate court is going to hear something just because of the uniqueness of all of this, of like the scintilla of evidence of imminent danger, the not allowing the continuance. I feel like one of those might be, but I don't think it's going to go beyond that. Like how Sarah's like the Supreme Court. I'm hoping she's thinking the Florida state, because it's definitely ain't going to the U.S. It's not going to SCOTUS. But I feel like there's room for that, right? Because Judge Cranick was very generous because he knows she has the right to appeal, right? So he erred on the side of generosity, like even with the scintilla, like these fingers, really, man? Really? You were dying? Oh, I have balloons. Can you guys see those? Come on. But, oh, it did do it. So my eyebrows look serious because I got them micro shaded yesterday. If I didn't say that, it's gonna fade. But I put the red lip on to try to like even it out. But yeah, there is because prosecution doesn't have the right to appeal, right? But the defense does, and he gives that to him because if he does it, that's something that she can appeal and it comes back. But if it we'll see. It is just, would that be case law? Like that he allowed the two fingers as a scintilla? I don't know. But I feel like we haven't seen the last of her in a courtroom regarding this criminal case. Although I do understand that she's not guaranteed an appeal. Sarah isn't true poverty. Sarah has always been taken. Oh yeah, and she's got a background of means. That's what I was like showing with like her grandma being in the yacht club and then being in society and being an artist and all. Like she's not trailer park trash, like from a family perspective, right? Like she knows better. She just chose to not do better, which I think is extra sad because you have this privilege. You know you have a privilege because you're like you've weaponized your femininity and your race, and yet you're still out doing dumb shit. Like you didn't leverage your privilege. Well, you wasted it. Dr. Harper would and did say, regardless amount of yes, yeah. Oh my God. talking about Boone's BS. Oh my god, among other great things. I don't know. But it is really I don't know. She's just so fascinating. And it's really, people are like, stop talking about it. I probably will. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be talking about it on the internet for years, but it just really is always like, I hope they study her brain when she's gone, like how they did Aaron Hernandez. Like, did something happen? Is there something in her chemical makeup that is making her behave like this? Like, how do you process this? Because she's not a dumb woman. I could see, like, some people, it's a comprehension level, right? I don't think it's a comprehension level with Sarah. And let me give a specific example. I remember there was some case where a gentleman, I use the term loosely, he was convicted of a murder. And there were some competency issues, but they pushed him through, and he was in a death penalty state. I can't remember where it was, but he was in death penalty. All his appeals ran out. It was his time to go. They come in, they ask him, the day before, what do you want for your last meal? He gives out his last meal. They give him the last meal the next day. They ask him, do you want your dessert? He says, I'm going to save it for later. He couldn't comprehend that he was being like, once he's dead, there's no coming back. You know what I mean? Like, what? But they still put him out there. Woman of Steel. So, Woman of Steel said she was able to connect. You're on a laptop, or I know or you can do it. You can join from you go to your browser, like you go to Safari. But I'm glad you figured it out. Deb H, where is Sarah going to get her money from? Alimony was for over 7 years, if I remember right, and no child support, because I don't know. And the alimony would be running out, if it were valid, it would be running out in the middle of next year, summer of 25. But the judge hasn't even said that. And she's going to be charged $50 a day now instead of the $250 or whatever. So that she's going to go in the hole. Which that one I'm a little torn about, because I did see a video where there was a young lady who got out and she owed like $127,000, and like she barely had a high school diploma, and it's accruing interest. Like, I get the pay for play, but then also at what point is it too punitive? If we're talking about like mostly socioeconomically disadvantaged people being in this system, you know what I mean? It's just like, again, it's that 13th Amendment, that keeping you enslaved the legal way, irrespective of your color, right? Because the Constitution doesn't say anything about race. It says, like, the 13th Amendment is where you can hold somebody against their will, make them do work. So, to answer the question, I don't know where she's getting the money from, but I'm going to be curious. I hope Lana doesn't send her any more money, or not on a regular basis, because life is a long time. And so... yeah. I don't know if they have jobs. Yeah. But also, does she really need it? Like, all those musketeers. Do we feel bad if she has less, like, musketeers and whatever else? Honey buns and Pop-Tarts? Because that seems to be what she's getting in the manila envelopes. I'm voting for no money for envelopes for her. But yeah. Get her fans to pay for her new lifestyle. But who's going to be her fans like 20 years out? Are people still going to, is she going to be relevant? Do you think people are sending like is Betty Broderick still alive? Are they sending her money? There's a word for it. I can't think of it. But there's a word for like when you are into people in jail. She does have a fan club. Yes, she certainly has a fan club. But it's only as she's current, right? Like, can you imagine if there's someone out? Like, what cases is anybody still in the Jodi Arias fan club? Maybe. I don't know. But life is life. When I'm 80, I'm damn sure I ain't sending money to people in prison. Is it just me? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm just a country girl in a big city. Rural. Some people from there get mad when I say country, but it is yeah. I just wonder, like, what were her hopes and aspirations? She seemed like such a normal person whatever was going on. People have issues with with their moms. You know, some people like they have a competition with their moms, which it sounds like that may or may not have happened. I don't know when, like if it's because she was born right after her brother. Her brother was there first because when we look at it, it's the older brother that's 13 months or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's important too because as parents, there's a thing we have to separate our children. We have to see them as separate entities. Just as like everything they do good is not because of us. Everything they do that's bad is not because of us. Do you know what I mean? Like we have to, at some point, they've got to be responsible for themselves. And it just sounds like Sarah never had to do that. She didn't have to say, or didn't have to like control her emotions, right? Because that's also, her emotions are very much like a teenage girl. She doesn't have to like self-regulate whatever was going on in her family. She just got to do whatever she was doing. And so there was someone, I can't remember the creator, but it was like, they probably, whoever was like, yeah, go away. They didn't want to hear it, and she was going over and over. And then she kind of fine-tuned that with Brian because maybe initially Brian was resisting, and then he gave in and was like, oh my gosh, she's not, I mean, she never met a dead horse she didn't want to beat. So she's going to go over. We see it with the boxes. Imagine dealing with that on a daily basis in your life. Like if you tell someone, you give them a boundary, and then they just keep chipping away. You know, what do they say? Water can carve through stone, just like a little bit at a time. That woman is carving through something. Yeah. That is just, we'll never know. Like, I do want them to study her brain, though. Like, wish they would eliminate parole in California. I do too. Yeah. My brother, another brother, I have a lot, was murdered in California, and that person got the death penalty, but the appeal process was crazy. And there's like a moratorium on them, but it does prevent parole. Sarah was 20 and 26. When was she 20 and 26? Well, 20 would have been 97, and then whatever, 6 years later. Oh, when her parents passed, yeah. So let's go back. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Am I? No, I'm not sure. I can't see it. Here we go. So she was her dad passed first in 95. So okay, she was 20 then. Is that what we're saying? Not quite. She would have been 20 in 97. So she was 18 when her dad passed away. Right? Am I doing my math? Is my mathing? And then my math is going to fail me. So her mom passed in 03 in February. And her grandmother also passed in 03, but in May of that. So, yeah. So, okay, so I'll give her grace on that. If she was 18, so then that is maybe why she didn't go to university straight away, because I was thinking 20 before. But she still could have gone back later, right? I need to do a page. What year did Sarah marry? I'm still building this out. What year did Sarah marry Brian? Anyway. Yeah, so she was an adult. The grandfather passed a little bit before that, which it seems like she was close with the grandfather that moved from Georgia to Florida, the mom's dad. her dad, mom's dad, died when? In 94. Ah, so the grandfather died in June of 94, and then her dad died the next year in September of 95. So 17 and 18, right? She was 17 when the grandpa died. Which in this, you could tell she wanted to say it on the stand, but Owens was trying to just direct her toward her parents. But she's doing this pile-on effect of like all of these people died. He was trying to like wrangle her in. I'm sure it was traumatic for her. She doesn't have the insight to understand, like make it targeted so it doesn't seem like a free-for-all of every dead person in your life. Because people die, that doesn't mean we all create or commit crimes, right? Part of living is we're going to die. But I mean, when my great grandma died, I remember that was rough. It was like the second day of 8th grade. So to be fair, she had that, and then not even fully recovered a year later, her dad dies, right? And we know, based on what Dr. Harper said, she had some tension with her mom. So I could see that being a rough spot, and probably wanting her mom's attention more, maybe. Also, when people, I think, a lot of times, I'm not going to make it absolute, frequently, often, people will have a sort of a predisposition, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I just, I wonder. But I also thought it was interesting, both of her parents had been married previously, but she seems to, like I said, go on about being divorced twice. Technically, they weren't divorced twice, but they were married twice. So maybe that's the distinction. This is the dad's first wife, Sandra S. Shields. For those of you guys who came in late, Sarah has a half sister, Cynthia, from her dad's first marriage, but no one mentions it. And then that's the first wife. It's similar, I guess, to Sarah's mom. This is Karen. That's her mom. Had a lot of high society stuff in her past. Was an artist. Was at the yacht club taking lessons. So yeah, she was on the women's page in an article about her artwork. This is the grandmother, the mom's mom. So yeah, it is. I don't know. She had every opportunity to be great, and she chose otherwise. She had every opportunity to. She could have done anything. I mean, I guess within the confines of being a woman, it is America. We don't want to get too crazy. They tell us that we're equal, but the women we know. But you know what I mean. She could have been. She could have had a great life. I don't know why she pissed it away for alcohol. She could have she wasn't working. She could have not continued to not work, not have this affair with George, raise her son, be a stay-at-home mom, actually go to the games that she claimed that she was going to. But the alcohol got the better of her, and she chose otherwise, right? And got deeper and deeper in. But I think she was self-medicating. Also, are we overthinking, like, when people have mental health, like, because they commit crimes, we're looking for a reason for the committing of the crime? Or is it just to have a deeper understanding? Because you can't fix stupid. And is it like, yeah, I don't know. It makes me just question everything. Like, as a mom, is that something you can control? As a daughter, is that something, yeah. Is Lowell prison? I think it is. I don't know, actually. I'm going to mix it up. I don't know. I believe reception is not open, but I don't know. I know there are some cells because that one woman who got paralyzed talked about it. Let's see. Let's let our Google figures do the wall. Oh my god, that's super tiny. It looks like yes, but I'm trying to see if they're going to give us pictures. Department of Justice. Oh, no. And what obligation do we have to the incarcerated, right? I get that it's punishment, but if we really want them to come back out and be productive members of society, what obligation do we have for rehabilitation? Because some of it feels inhumanely punitive. I don't know what this is going on. I'm just trying to find images. So, neighboring women's reception center, that's where she's going initially. Okay. That's where she's going initially. Okay. Yeah. But it looks like they're saying there are bays there. Let me see if I can go back to this one. Oh, they don't. Department of Justice. Let's try Wikipedia. It's a mess on here. Under the supervision, houses an inmate reception center, also houses close security and death row inmates. Oh, damn. Work camp, forestry. Goodness. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right. That is it. I'm, yikes. That's crazy. I'm at time and Sugar Bear's knocking on the door. So I'm going to wrap up. But thank you guys all for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. And I'm going to continue working on this because like I said, I thought about like who raised her. So I'm just kind of fine tuning. So if you guys think of things later, come back and comment on it. So I'm just trying to crowdsource of like, am I barking up the wrong tree? Maybe you guys see something I don't see. Maybe we serendipitously meet in the middle and discover something together. Whatever it is, I appreciate you. As a true DV survivor, Owen's poster boards were huge triggers for me, either self-inflicted, had an acquaintance do as well as makeup. Yikes. Yikes. Okay, he's banging on the door. I don't know if you guys heard that. I appreciate you all. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Toodles.